Hey, what is up, everybody? This is the Lizzy and Me podcast, and I'm gonna invite some people so we can get this party started. So, journaling in three ways. We have traditional journaling, we have seated journaling, and we have walking journaling. As we're waiting for Corona to get on, so for the people that are in the audience, go ahead and say a yes if you journal. And do you enjoy journaling? Do you get anything out of it? I know a lot of people don't like journaling, but for me, it's been very, very powerful. And part of the reason why I can understand some people don't like it, because sometimes with the traditional way of journaling, it's not necessarily game changing. I'm going to get. What is up?
How's it going?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, having a good day. Happy hump day. The ombligo of the week.
Yes, yes. Hump day. So,
Yeah, hump day. Woo, woo, woo.
so how do you? I was asking the people in the audience if they journaled. What is your relationship with journaling?
Um, I haven't journaled in a while. I think the last time I journaled with a prompt from a book that a friend wrote. Um, it's called Building a Powerhouse. The name of the author is Zulinet Morales, and it's a poetry book. But I really like that it also includes different prompts or just themes and ideas. I'm sorry, Jaylani's on the jumper with me, so he made my phone fly. But there's different journaling ideas in there, different prompts or questions, and you can kind of interact as a reader. So I picked one of those topics and I started writing about something. And after I finished writing my answering the prompt, I was able to kind of talk about the story with them and read it to them. They enjoyed it. They, my friends, a group of friends that we had just kind of like a live session on IG where we just wanted to be creative in whatever way that was. So for me,
Okay.
it was that journaling day. Yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to talk about the journaling in three ways, and then
Okay.
we can have some interaction as I'm talking about the other ones, and then I want to get into the prompt, like how we could find empowering ways to make that more consistent.
Mm.
Because
Okay.
sometimes there may be a legit reason why we're not doing something, but there also may be an underlying fear why our mind keeps on going back to that excuse, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
So journaling in three ways is something that I don't think it was I'm sure there's probably people on the planet that came up with the same three ones and even added some ones. So traditional journaling. So remember when you were in school when you were learning how to do an S or learning how to do the letters, and they would have the dot to dot. So you just follow along with the guided dot. You remember that?
The dot to dot. You mean like
So,
with tracing?
yeah, tracing.
Yes,
So
I
that
remember that.
let's call that a prompt.
Okay.
So a lot of times as we're learning to write or when we're in school when they tell us to write in between the lines, A lot of
Mm-hmm.
our goals aren't in between the lines.
Ooh.
So when I'm journaling, the things that I stick in the lines don't get done as much as the. Oh, what is journaling? Does journaling have to be written in a journal that's red with lines on it? Do I have to write it with a pen, or can I put it in a memo into an audio? Can I all of a sudden have my awareness go to a word, and then I learned this from somebody else. I don't know exactly who it was, but I can have my awareness go to a word. Think of a word that you're resonating with right now.
You want me to say it?
Yeah, yeah.
Honey.
Honey. So what you'd do is you'd go into the thesaurus and look up honey and all the different words for honey, the responses for honey. I don't think honey's a good example, but all the different responses for honey. Then you would look them up individually. So you go to the thesaurus and it'll give you other types of words for it, and then you go and look up
Mm.
those individual words. And what it does is it expands you for that word. And then each one of those words could be a whole journal entry,
Mm.
because we like to think it's a black and white world, and we like to think, oh, this is exactly what this word means. But I think a journal is all about expanding yourself and then harnessing where you want to go towards the goal that you intend to go towards. Does that make sense? And the other journaling way that I came up was seated journaling. Because why does journaling have to be writing in a book? So I would just sit down, and then my canvas or my blank sheet would be the Starbucks, or would be me sitting on campus, or me be sitting by the beach. And then all of a sudden, the people that are coming into my awareness, even some of them are coming up to me and having a conversation, those are me journaling. Because what is the goal of journaling? For me, it's to push past a lot of the complications that are going in my mind and bring whatever's on paper into my life, or to vent what's going on so I can get the fuck out of the way of whatever that demon is, or that evil, or that thing that I just don't, that does not serve me any longer. Get that out of the way so I can move towards what I want to in life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because you have big dreams, and you may be aligned with them more than you want to believe, but also you're not aware of it. It's like the enlightened person that, and my goal is not to be enlightened. And I do enlightened shit
Go away,
on a
honeybee.
weekly basis, but the goal is not to be enlightened. But think about the enlightened person that's walking around and doesn't know they're enlightened. There could be some beautiful
They
stuff in
gotta
quantum
listen to the
attachment.
buzz.
What type? What is that? What type is that? Is that a gnat?
No,
What's
it's a
that?
bee.
Oh, it's a bee. Yeah, yeah.
There's a bee
What were you
following
saying? What were you
me.
saying before? You're talking about honey.
I said honey because the bee was right by me.
Oh, the bee was there before. Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't see him before. I thought you manifested that because you're talking about honey.
No, they're following me. I don't know why they're following me today.
See, that's another thing you can do, but we'll talk about transfers. Okay, so we
Nature
got
is full of art.
we got traditional, we got seated, and then we got walking. Because we're and my one of my mentors, Pedro Zaragoza, told me that life's about living through our 7 chakras. And why do we come to this planet? Because a spirit can't eat ice cream. So walking makes it so, oh, I want to get, like, if you're sitting in your house all day journaling, oh, I want to get out, I want to go see the world, but you're like, oh shit, I'm not going outside because it's too cold. You got to get out. And if you want to create a movement, how you're all about, you need movement. Have you ever heard in psychology, like, if you studied for a test drunk, it's best to take, the best recall will be if you're drunk when you're taking the test? Have you ever heard that?
I don't
So
think I've ever heard that one.
yeah. But it's the whole thing. That's why when you get with friends and you're drinking, then you're reminiscing because you're bringing up memories that are aligned with you when you're drinking like that. So the same thing is if you want to create a powerful thing and create a movement, because a lot of people in business and a lot of people that are involved in these movements, they're spending 6 months saying, oh, what we're going to do is we're going to throw a bottle at a Starbucks window. Or we're going to create this app, but there's so much fucking talking and so much tight talking that it doesn't manifest into something. So I would change the word from prompt to prime. Because you're like priming the pump. So have you ever heard of it like a well, like on, I've heard this shit, but I've never been around one. But with a well, if you want to, you're pumping at the well, what you have to do at well, you have to pour water into the well to prime the pump in order for the pump to
To
work.
to keep having momentum.
Yeah, to keep on having momentum. And it's the same thing with this. You have to be doing something on a consistent basis, then it's easier. Then all of a sudden is like not talking to everybody, and then all of a sudden you go out on the weekend and you expect to just like be the belle of the ball. You got to consistently always be practicing, um, moving towards something. Then it makes it so much easier. How do you eat an elephant? Elephant sandwiches. You can't eat the whole elephant. You eat it, you break it down into sandwiches. Your goals are the
Okay,
same
so you
way.
portion it.
Yeah. But also no, like I mean, shit, you might be going elephants at sandwiches, and then also you might eat the whole elephant. And I'm talking goals wise. Um, so that's the fear comes in when there's no movement in the movement. Does
Because
anybody have any
that's
questions?
when a movement dies off, right? I mean, if we're talking about the flow of water, right? Whenever you have stagnant water, it just goes bad. And it could be seen the same as humanity, right? Where humans are made out of mostly water, right? And when humans are stagnant, they start to die, right? It's like when you don't move your vehicle starts to break down on its own, and it's like, wait, why is my car breaking down so fast if I haven't driven it? Yeah, exactly that. You don't turn on the engine, you don't get the juices flowing, the oils flowing, so you're not lubricating anything inside your car. And when that happens, it starts to break down.
So you notice how like even this conversation can be considered journaling?
Of course.
The term the mastermind, like mastermind groups, it was started by a guy Napoleon Hill, and the concept is when we come together, we're sharing one mind. So even if you come together with somebody that's your arch enemy, you're sharing one mind. And the truth always, as brilliant as I am, the truth with anybody I come into contact with, the truth will be somewhere in between them and myself. But sometimes, a lot of times, people that they share the same truth, or they create the illusion that they're sharing the same truth. Look at that hair. So go ahead and repeat the journaling in 3 ways. No, fuck isn't one of them. Traditional, seated, walking. I can't hear you.
I repeated what they were.
Yeah. No, but I was
Traditional,
just letting you know that your
seated,
volume was down.
walking. No, I was aware. I was aware of the mute button. I have little one running around, so every so often I mute it because there's noise in the background. I said
Talk about
oral at some
talk
point.
about a perfect person to prompt or prime you.
Yeah, little one.
Yeah, it's interesting how I know a lot of people that don't have time for doing stuff like a lot like I have and like you have that have because they have a lot of kids. But a lot of
Mm,
times they have like a lot of wasted conversations
mm.
talking about stuff but not actually getting in a position. Okay, I only have 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a long freaking time if you're focused. Because pretty much um, in the 40-hour work week, most jobs, if you could do, if you like said you're going to get paid for this much based on the time, people will do it faster. To
Mommy, meow.
Because there's now a monetary value for
Someone's
time.
gone.
Yes, son.
what do you say?
If he can grab his gun.
He can grab his gun. That's
Don't put water in it, son. I don't want you to get sick.
I wonder where he gets that from.
I mean, humans want to do what they want to do. Little people want to do what they want to do. I'm not mad at it. Oh, you hear that? The glorious sound of water. Honey, don't do it, my dear. You're gonna get sick.
So I want you to pause. I want you to pause for a while, and I want you to think about what he's priming. What journaling is he priming?
Exactly that, right? The will to want to do something.
The will, and so we're journaling back and forth, so there's no right or wrong on there.
Right.
The
Okay.
will. I also see there's fears that a lot of people share. I don't
Oh, okay.
that he'll get sick because he gets wet. I don't share that belief at all. That's an old wives' tale, and you're a young wife, not an old wife.
Um, that's a good one.
So I would, in that
It's a
situation,
really
I would
good
think
prompt.
I would be if it were my niece, I would think, oh man, what fears did I take in, and what beliefs did I take in
Mm,
as a child, and maybe they are true, but maybe they're not.
question everything. It's true. But then it also takes you to questioning old knowledge, right? That's another prompt, potentially.
Well, I think there's a lot of knowledge out there that's true, but I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about the situation, putting it in the right situation.
Mm,
That's when it's wisdom.
mm,
When you put knowledge in the right situation, that's when it's wisdom.
mm-hmm.
So why are the lanes on the LA highway and the San Diego highway, why are they the certain width that they are? Because chariots were the same way.
Oh,
So why did you just take that belief in? Because people before in society took those beliefs in.
right, right. Where are you going?
So we're journaling. We're going back and forth. So my guy that edits my videos, he's in Pakistan, and he was asking me questions about spirituality, which he isn't able, based on no judgment, but based on where in Pakistan, he isn't able to. He can ask his friends, but he says they always give him the same answer. And I told him because I'm speaking in his language, our shared language, but more his language because he's more of a technology guy. I go Facebook algorithm. I go I believe God's too big to name. And I go the Facebook algorithm is the same algorithm for all of us, but it changes what information they feed you and what they feed me. So I believe that that God, whether it's the atheist God, the Muslim God, the Jewish God, or whatever God, can only be defined in the moment. And then he said, give me an example. And I go, have you ever eaten a grape? And I said, what's your favorite fruit? And he said, a grape. And I go, would it be easier for you to explain what a grape tastes like, or just give somebody a grape? And our memory, this is what I've heard, and there's evidence of this in science, but a lot of gurus say this too. Our memory of what food tastes like is a memory a lot of times. Eating comes, like, the smallest percentage is from your taste buds. It's from smell, it's from memory, and it's from how it looks too. How it looks is more important than your taste buds. So we're taking stuff a long time ago, which were great stories. Go ahead. What was that?
I said because you first take in the word and how it looks, right? You don't taste it before you see it. Usually, at least.
Yeah. So that's the situation and the memories involved in that. So when you think of like how everything, like, I could start off like, I was like, why is this bee buzzing around me? I could go to Google and put in bee totem, and it can, a lot of times it's because there's a positive buzz around, can be one thing, and a lot of times, and I think it's in one of the Asian cultures, they call people that are in suits, business people, they call them bees because they can sting you. So it can mean a lot of different things. I mean, even if you take black cats, in some cultures, in this culture, it's negative, but in other cultures, it's a positive thing for a black cross path of a black cat. So this could be confusing because what I'm talking about aren't absolute truths. It's information that the universe is sending to you that are answers that you're looking for. But a lot of times people ask a question and they don't look for the answer. Because the universe is very, very efficient. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Did you mute it?
I said universe.
Universe. Oh, got it. Got it. So, do you understand the difference between priming and prompting?
So priming is what leads up. Prompting is kind of following the guide, basically.
Prompting is explaining an orgasm. Priming is having an orgasm.
You know, that's the easiest way for me to understand anything.
I'm speaking
Say it
here
one
like
more time so the audience can hear it.
prompting is talking about an orgasm. Priming is having an orgasm. Because, like, why not live your life like you're, like, when you're walking? I mean, that's what I mean. No creepiness, but that's what kids are doing. They're having a freaking orgasm, not a sexual orgasm, but they're having an orgasm when they're doing everything.
Why do you say that?
It's just a word, but they're so excited about it. When's the last time you got as excited about seeing a bird as your, and I know you do this more than most, but I would question whether you do that. And we push each other to when we're around each other to do that. But are you doing that on a consistent basis? More so, or do you have to have somebody priming you around you for that to happen?
I would say so. I mean, in part, right? Because I have to tell myself sometimes to get out, right? Or to go outdoors or go for walks. Um, which then leads me to the appreciation of the birds, the noises, all of that, versus staying home and not actually seeking that adventure.
So do you see like how you've already been journaling in a lot of ways? Think of your
Yeah,
journaling. Why not? Why can't that your hikes be journaling?
I keep it in here a lot of the time. I tend to appreciate the art around me with its all of its essence on the daily. And I guess you can say it just stays in here, right? It doesn't go into an actual log. It doesn't stay written anywhere or archived anywhere for anybody else to access it. Could that be greed? Me being greedy with my art?
I would define that as greed, but it's not necessarily the negative intent that you have. A lot of it, I see you see power in traditional journaling and everything, but there's some fear of stepping out further. Even though you've done some gangster shit, but that's what it happens. Like your threshold for handling a lot of shit, you can
Mm,
tolerate a lot of pain, and then you go to aggressive to snap out. I consistently am
mm,
like like somebody like looks at me like I did this for a while. Don't do it as much, but I I used to have a video that anytime somebody said something about my grammar on Facebook, I had a video that saying, "Oh, I was like Hitler had perfect grammar." Like I'll be like, because I'm talking about like those Harvard guys that are like sick fucking individuals, but they have perfect grammar because they're insane and I'm outsane. So
amen.
so the thing that because I have an issue. Like I was doing Lyft the other day and I was driving this lady and she said, "Oh, there's a satellite tower that looks like a palm tree." And I was like, "Oh," I go, "That's disgusting." And she goes, "What, you'd rather have it like look like that than like just like having a tower there?" And I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
would you rather have somebody be a really creepy individual that looks normal, or would you want them to look creepy?
I
And
would
she
prefer
goes,
for them
"Good
to
point.
look creepy. That's a really good
I want to
point.
see things that are negative, and I want it to be clear." Does that make sense?
Yeah, because then you're living in a false idea, or like, yeah, like kind of like the Disneyland effect, right? Like everything is perfect, everything is a fairy tale. A lot of people live their lives blindfolded like that. I know. I think that's actually the prompt that got me into college. Living this fairy tale life and then opening your eyes one day and you're like, holy shit, it's not as good as it looks or feels, right? Because you're opening your eyes to another reality that exists, and it's like it's not all rainbows and butterflies all the time.
Yeah, a lot of those things when you explain it and then the way people react to it, it makes you feel like it's the right thing to do. Um,
But it's kind of like artificial grass, right? It's
th-
just there to cover dry soil. What can you do with dry soil
yeah, yeah, for
instead of
sure.
cultivating some soil that's vibrant and it's going to give you something that you
So
can
artificial
eat?
grass, it is probably like it's way more efficient than other grass. Um, the upkeep
True.
is minimal. You know, you're saving water. but I stand on that shit and it doesn't feel good. Like I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is
I
nasty.
would rather be grounded onto actual soil. That's why I said, like,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
looks good, right? But that false idea of perfect. I mean, you're trying to what, save water? Why don't you just put cement down on the floor? Like,
Yeah, yeah. And even the
false
one that looks like,
dreamers.
even if one looked like even more real than the ones that are just like that bothers me even more. And what I'm saying, it's definitely a first world problem, but we're not talking about the artificial turf. We're more talking
Mm-hmm.
about us being artificial turf.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because you going on your path and you doing that, and college is expensive. I mean, I lucked out that my family paid for it and everything, but the loans on that, as far as like uh, the only part of the agreement is saying all I had to do is be a contributing member of society. Which when I was coming out of the closet as my authentic self as a straight man, my father snapped because I wasn't, in his words, I wasn't a contributing member of society, which means no dreadlocks, wears a suit, works a 9 to 5 job.
Yo, and now Jay-Z's wearing suits with dreadlocks.
And also that, I mean, that means nothing to me too. Like I'll spin stuff like that just to give me some more room. Like for instance, and I think anybody could do this. When I used to get stopped by a police, I remember one time a police officer said, "Is this your car?" I was like, "No, it's my dad, Dr. Jones." That that all of a sudden changes his paradigm. I
Mm.
don't think I'm better than anybody else, but so sometimes I'll do those things just
Mm.
because it gives me enough room to be me.
Mm.
But I try to limit doing that. And you won't, if I have to do that a lot around you,
Mm.
we're not going to meet a second time. Like even a little. Like I just don't, if I have to say stuff like that to justify it, we're not going to hang out. Like, and because it's
Mm.
like, because it's so fucking petty. I mean, that stuff shouldn't matter. Um,
Yeah.
and if somebody has a lot of money and they want to work on a potential, I see that as a value. But
Mm-hmm.
if they don't want to actually like do the project and do good, then it's nothing. If somebody's like totally fucking broke but has fucking skills, or somebody's totally broke but doesn't have any skills but has fucking heart, then I'm fine doing a project with them. If they want to set intentions
Mm-hmm.
and move towards an outcome. And I think that's all that a journaling is.
Mm.
So anything that you're setting intentions and then moving towards an outcome
Mm-hmm.
to do it. And your outcome could be as basic as like, I want to just be able to relax. I want to just be able to figure out a time to spend more time with my family. What's up, Arturo?
People are in the audience. I wonder if anybody in here journals or does any type of journaling.
Somebody said decent character is far more valuable than one's social position.
Mm.
100%.
Can see that.
Arturo writes every day.
Hmm. When was your last written journal?
You asking me or him?
You.
Well, so you're talking about traditional journaling.
Mm-hmm.
Last week sometime.
Is something usually inciting the intention to?
So this I didn't journal on it, but I listed in the expanding version of journaling. There's a young lady that I've known for a while that works at the coffee shop, and I thought I mentioned that she was Persian, and she said I'm not Persian. I'm Kurdish.
Mm.
And then she said, "Do you know anything about that?" And then I just like researched that for like several hours
Mm.
on it. And the takeaway was the Kurdish don't have an actual location, but their race is they have 35 million people all over the world, but they don't have like an actual land. And they're
Mm.
occupied like you have Israel and Palestine, and let's not get into that conversation now, but they have four different countries that are occupying their space.
Oh, wow.
And but their culture is strong globally,
Wow.
even though they don't have land. And they've been able to
Oh.
be like a lot of people do here, but they've been able to they mesh with those communities, so they don't fight it as much as they're strong with their like they would say it's I'm have geographical issues, but say that um, they want somebody that was Kurdish lived in Texas. They take that strong identity with both, so they're
Kind of
able
like
to. What
Armenian
was that?
folks, right? But I know Armenia was actually a location, but like Armenian folks are usually really tight knit no matter where they end up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that happens with that happens with a lot of cultures. Yeah, so for me, I really started to think about it because I think that's very beautiful and valuable carrying that culture. But also, I think it's like I tell people like when I tell people my parents are from Barbados, um, I say you do you know Rihanna? It builds rapport with people. It globally builds rapport because Rihanna's from where my parents are from, and to me that means absolutely nothing.
Yo, you don't want to ask me where my mom's from, because then I'm gonna say Chapo and you might run.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't usually say Chapo.
yeah, yeah. So that's one of those things that it can be manipulative to a certain extent to be able to do that because that all that stuff doesn't matter. Character is so much important, and then the fact that your deeds are matching your words, and journaling helps me with that for sure. Anything else before we go?
No, I just think that when people practice self-expression, they're just one step closer to their universe. They're the center of their self, and I think there's so much power in that
And I
because
like how
that's
you're
how you're
spelling.
able to
I like how you're
transform.
spelling universe with
Oh
the
wait,
YOU.
there's
Never.
another way. Or,
You might want to say it because those on the replay, those aren't going to pop up.
okay, so I spelled it universe, and then I spelled it me verse, and then yoniverse.
And it's
Power
funny,
of
our
the pussy,
Yo,
y'all.
the Arturo put yo before.
I can't see Arturo's. Interesting.
Cool. Shoot me a message, Arturo. Cool. Anything else? We're gonna go
Awesome. Good night, everyone.
for sure. Peace.
Peace.